Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope that you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. To start things off, Ripple's Swell has officially ended. The San Francisco event, which on the first day saw former US President Bill Clinton take the stage to speak about crypto revolution and the launch of Ripple's much awaited X-Rapid cross-border payment service. Even though it says X-Ripple here, that is clearly incorrect. Shifted its focus to blockchain adoption and adoption across stories of RippleNet. A thorough discussion on global regulation that took place on the event's first day also found mentions during the addresses on the second day. Experts joining from Ripple, Banco Central do Brasil, that is the Central Bank of Brazil, Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, and the Payment Canada, and many other financial giants had valuable opinions to add on the ongoing discussions about regulating blockchain assets. Sunil Sabharwal, former IMF executive and now the head of the DC-based financial consulting firm, believed high compliance costs in various countries caused blockchain's exodus. Highlights were the qualities of public ledger in solving many existential issues of payment and the banking industry. They said, in cross-border payments, business-to-business payments are about $150 trillion. Remittances, that's about $240 billion in revenue. Remittances, mostly person-to-person payment by migrants, is anywhere from $500 to $600 billion a year. Sabharwal identified roadblocks that could be hampering the pace of blockchain innovation, ranging from the lack of global cooperation among central banks to a lack of training. A comprehensive regulatory framework for a technology that is organically borderless has been sought, with the belief that it would bring all the central banks in line with the acceptable blockchain practices. Marcelo Yared, who is the CIO of the Central Bank of Brazil, agreed with Sabharwal on the potential of blockchain and cutting operational costs. He said, blockchain and distributed ledger technology, or DLT, is a kind of tool for us to solve things. We've seen good things with blockchain and DLT in knowing our customers and in exchanging information inside the Brazilian financial system, and we see good things in cross-border payments. My original idea for Swell, first of all, I thought that nothing significant would happen at Swell. Lo and behold, X-Rapid got activated or turned on, however you kind of want to see it. But I'm pleased with what happened, even though nothing hyper spectacular ended up happening. I was expecting more so leaders of the world to kind of get on stage and talk about the benefits of not even just Ripple, but also like blockchain technology and how it was helping them and who was doing so. These things are very important for the adoption of cryptos and blockchain, whether you want to believe it or not, in that when you have people like this who create monetary policies and they tell other people how great it has been, them working with it, what the benefits have been, how much extra money we made, how much extra money we saved, how much quicker things can go. This ends up spreading because a lot of people think that it's just about the largest players in the game, and it typically comes down to the smaller people as well. If you are a smaller institution and you are looking to make profits in the long term and just to increase profits, I guess that's the easiest way of saying it. You look towards the bigger players to see exactly how they're doing it, and this is how you end up moving forward. So Swell overall, I think, was pretty okay. Let's see exactly what ends up happening over the next couple of weeks. But as of now, the discussions that were had and it's mostly positive. Nothing negative was said about anything. It was more like we have the technology, we have to start using it. Let's make sure that we use it right. And let's make sure that we, I guess, continue to find a way to profit from it. That's at least what I personally got from it. Next up, in some of the most confusing news that you will probably hear all year, China's oldest and most reputable science and technology magazine, the Beijing-based Science Tech Report, or BSTR, also called Technology Life, announced plans to accept Bitcoin as a payment method for next year's subscription, the company said in a statement. The move makes Technology Life the first media organization in China to accept cryptocurrency as payment. Is also seen as an acknowledgement of Bitcoin as a legitimate form of exchange of value. Here's some photos of the magazine. I feel like I've actually seen these somewhere before, unless these are like very famous images. In the past 2 years, blockchain as a new internet technology has become an increasingly popular concern. Bitcoin, which was born in 2009, is currently the most widely used cryptographic digital currency in the world, using the distribution of many nodes in the entire network. The database is used to identify and record all trading behaviors, and use of the technology to ensure the security of all aspects of currency circulation is the best practical application of blockchain technology so far. Before I even move on, I don't know if you realize a lot of the wording that was in here. Like I've said before in many other statements, China, specifically in this case, they like to keep a tight grip on things that are happening within their country. So when I heard this, I thought it was actually kind of interesting. But if you read through the text and how they're talking about things and being able to identify and record all trading behaviors and who's using it and security and stuff like that, this also still leads me to believe that at some point China is going to allow it. Because if you didn't know, in order to actually be able to do something like this, you have to get the approval of the government. And for the government to say yes, for them to release a statement that pretty much says, we think that it's great because you can track and identify people, kind of leads me to believe that this could, there's a bit more to this than we're actually seeing. Technology Life said it is priced at 0.01 BTC, about 450 yuan per magazine, and subscribers can pay subscription fees to the specific Bitcoin receiving address of the newspaper to complete the subscription. I feel like that's a little expensive. If Bitcoin, isn't that like $70 or something like that per magazine? Okay. It added that by embracing digital currency as a subscription payment, the magazine is sending signals that individuals should also start accepting Bitcoin as a means of payment. It is also understood the move is intended to expand its subscription base by targeting tech-savvy subscribers, particularly those who have adopted digital currencies. China is one of the most confusing countries in the entire world. No matter what happens, it just doesn't make any sense. Between them having national television shows that explain what blockchain is, to science magazines accepting cryptocurrencies, and also them banning cryptocurrencies, but we know that they control mining factories in China. I don't know exactly what they're planning. I still think at some point China is going to come out in the open and say that they have, or rather have been working with or trying to figure out how to accept Bitcoin. What wouldn't surprise me at all is if China has somehow figured out a way to use Bitcoin, but through a side chain. Meaning, if you have a chain that is directly connected to Bitcoin and that's not kind of hanging off at the side, that is, everything that is recorded, or every transaction that happens within China is not only recorded on the Bitcoin blockchain, but also on a separate symbiotic blockchain that the Chinese government then has control over, i.e., accepting Bitcoin, using Bitcoin, but they know exactly who each address is tied to. I could definitely see a future where the Chinese government allows cryptocurrencies in the country, but you need to sign up to a certain website, like an Alipay or something like that, in order to use it, to download a wallet, which will then be tied to your name, so they then know exactly who is using the payments and when the payments are happening. Think I just solved it. Think I just got it. If that happens in the next 5 months, please refer back to this video, because there's been way too much talk from China specifically, not even Chinese companies, but just the fact that they've banned it, but there's such a huge amount of, even they also release like, what's it called? Like the ratings for cryptocurrencies. You don't do that when you've banned anything. Like, you don't care about it anymore. When it's banned, you don't talk about it. I'm going to assume, let's say, mid 2019, I think China will start to announce that they're looking into the possibility of accepting, or rather allowing, cryptocurrencies. And I'm going to assume it's going to be cryptocurrencies that people in their country have been testing to figure out exactly how transparent these things are and how much control the government has over them. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's going to happen. But the moment that China does get back into the cryptocurrency space, prices are going to lose their minds, but that is going to be great for the rest of us. Next up, South Korea is in the news. The chairman of Korea's National Policy Committee has called for the legalization of ICOs, provided that a regulatory framework is put in place. According to a report from CoinDesk Korea on Tuesday, Ming Buyong-do, who is a member of the country's governing Democratic Party, said that with token sales being a global trend, I do not want the ICO door closed permanently. The state should not ignore the issue, end quote. The policy chief spoke earlier Tuesday during the 8th plenary session of the National Assembly, at which lawmakers posed questions to the administration. In order to create trust in the industry, ICOs should also be regulated, Min stressed. However, the official pointed to reluctance on the part of the government to draw up new rules as a prevailing issue. Specifically, he said, fraud, speculation, and capital laundering must be strictly prohibited, and the crypto industry would need to self-regulate and introduce safety standards as well. The country's financial watchdog, the Financial Services Commission, announced a ban on ICOs in September of 2017, although the law has not yet been enacted. According to the report, the lawmaker pointed to the economic advantages of token sales, saying that while there is a pessimistic view of cryptocurrencies in some quarters, many token projects are seen as having a viable future. This is echoing exactly what happened a couple of days ago in the United States, where people in the government and other people who are policymakers, people who make the laws, are now coming forward and they're telling their government to hurry up because when you realize that the door is closing and other people don't, part of the issue that I have with a lot of me personally, myself, the people who are making the rules and the policies and the laws, they're making rules and policies and laws that are going to determine how people live for the next 50, 60, 70 years. And realistically, these people probably won't be walking on this earth anymore as these rules come into effect and they end up disrupting lives and stuff like that. So I feel like there's like an urgence in the air from countries around the world who are trying to figure out how to deal with cryptocurrencies, how to enable them to be allowed in the country, which is something that still is like a tiptoeing around a situation as far as like certain governments don't want them, certain central banks don't want them. Or rather, I feel like what they think is, should they allow cryptocurrencies? Like it's one thing to allow, to allow XRP or something like that into your country because the way that it is set up, especially if it's running through banks, you can tell who's using what transaction at what time, so and so because you're using it through your phone. But if you let the floodgates open and people also start using Bitcoin and Ethereum and this coin and that coin, and governments can't control it anymore, I think there's a huge amount of panic within them. Personally, just trying to figure out exactly how to get this entire thing under wraps. But at least people in different countries are now coming forward and trying to tell their governments to get a move on, because what I think is actually happening behind the scenes that we don't see is that whenever they have these meetings and stuff like this, it's typically because they have some type of I don't want to say insider information. They have information from somewhere else about something that's happening in another country who's getting ready to announce favorable regulations or favorable this or lower taxes or no taxes or so and so blah blah blah, and that ends up being a problem for your country if you realize that you could make money off of cryptocurrencies, but the people who are running the government are reluctant because they're too afraid of the policies, like I said, that they make that are going to affect people down the line. So 20 years from now, should we have a thriving cryptocurrency space where there's trillions of dollars flowing back and forth, and certain nations have become very, very rich because of what has happened to the prices and because they have allowed these crypto enterprises in, what then happens or happened to the other countries who just didn't open up their doors because they were too afraid to do so 20 years ago? Quite interesting to think about that. Next up, former U.S. President Bill Clinton has warned against a possible negative impact of carelessly measured state policies on the emerging technologies of blockchain. Clinton made these remarks on Monday during this year's Ripple Swell conference in San Francisco. The ex-politician was part of the first day's event schedule and was speaking a lot about his 2 terms in the White House, touching the blockchain issue at the end of his appearance. Clinton praised DLT or distributed ledger technology capabilities and called for a more cautious state approach. He said, "The whole blockchain deal has the potential. It does only because it is applicable across national borders and income groups. The permutations and possibilities are staggeringly great," end quote. He also said, "We could ruin it all by negative identity politics and economic and social policy. You think about that," end quote. Clinton also warned the crypto industry to take great care of public interest instead of immediate financial rewards. He said, "You don't want consumer fraud You don't want to finance criminal enterprises, and you certainly don't want to make it easier to pull off severe attacks by terrorists. That's the challenge of each new technology. Clinton's remarks come at a time of increasing U.S. policymaker activity. Last week, Congress hosted a roundtable about the virtual coin and blockchain markets with leading crypto and Wall Street representatives, which we just spoke about, calling for regulatory clarity. Several days later, lawmakers from both parties wrote an open letter to the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, Chairman Jay Clayton, urging him to issue a clear crypto guideline, as the existing uncertainty could harm U.S. leading role in the innovation sector. How interesting this all is. It's all bubbling to the point where at some point someone's going to have to give. Some country is going to come forward, whether it's the U.S., whether it's Japan, whether it's South Korea. I don't think Europe is in that running. I think Europe is going to take a more relaxed approach to the entire cryptocurrency space. But the fact that this is all happening is quite interesting. A lot of people was talking about Clinton's speech and how it was and stuff like that. I think it's important to remember, regardless of what you might think, as a former president, he has certain ties to people who may not only care about what he says, but he knows people who make financial regulation laws, and they may look towards him in order to understand how they should exactly move forward. Because if you've noticed the last couple of weeks, we had a lot of people talking about, and like in quick succession as well, that they don't think that the U.S. should put like very strict rules on the cryptocurrency space. Don't do it. Don't put strict rules. Take your time and understand it. So and so and so. And it makes me believe that the higher ups, the people who understand, or rather who are making the laws, and people who know that they have made the laws, have wind of that laws are not only coming, but they're going to completely step on cryptocurrencies as a whole. And this is why I think we see so much talk. I don't know if you've realized it. How many people have been talking about we need to make sure that this is, that you do a light touch. Don't affect it too much. Don't do this to it. Don't so and so. Like, we have to make sure that we stop all the evil, but take your time, because this is very important. This has been mimicked many times by at least 15 different people over the last couple of weeks. I still think that we won't have regulations until 2019. That's just how I kind of feel about it, and watch it end up happening tomorrow, because I'm always bad with timing. But at some point it's going to happen, and I have a strong inkling that the United States is going to be one of the toughest countries on it. And when this happens, a bunch of other countries are going to come forward, and they're going to make sure that they have some of the loosest regulations in the entire world. Then we're going to see who wins the race at the end of it. But let's move on. Last up, we have news from Nem, which you don't hear too often. According to a recent report, Nem announced a partnership with Liven, an Australian-based payment platform which rewards its users for their loyalty when they visit partner restaurants and pay through the Liven app. Liven's digital currency, the Liven coin, or LVN, allows Australian users to pay with cryptocurrency across 1,000 restaurants through the Liven payment network. Sorry about that. The creators of Nem.io will be working with Liven to integrate XEM, that is the coin, with Liven coin. The report states that the apostle function of the Nem blockchain will be utilized to ensure Liven's transparency and integrity. Furthermore, the apostle function will be used to validate the analytics provided to merchants. The Nem Foundation will be working towards providing technical guidance, support, and will also explore the other features in the blockchain technology, which could be integrated into Liven's platform. NEM's expansion director from Australia and New Zealand, Jason Lee, stated that the partnership has two important aspects. The first aspect was the pairing of XEM, I assume that's how you pronounce it, that's not an M there, so it's XEM, with LVN, would allow the community to constantly interact with Liven's ecosystem. He further added that his partnership was proof that they have the potential to develop real-world use cases. He further added, "We are already exploring other opportunities to integrate NEM's blockchain technologies with Liven, and will look forward to working with them continuously." End quote. You do not hear about NEM very often, or usually at all. Very nice to hear that this is happening. First time I read through it, it seemed like they were just using their blockchain, but it's I thought they were not typos at first, but it seems like it'll be like a dual blockchain currency type thing, or maybe you are able to choose between the XEM coin or the LVN coin, because it seems like it says they're integrating the XEM and it's on Nem, so I assume they're using Nem's blockchain, or at least part of it, to ensure transparency and integrity, and also going to be allowing the coin as part of the partnership on their thing. It'll be interesting. I don't live in Australia, have never been to Australia. If you live in Australia and have ever used the Liven app or the Liven coin, or know someone who does, or if it's like you may not have used it, but it's like a fairly well-known thing, because that could be quite interesting if they have opened up their coin right here to be used across 1,000 restaurants. That could actually be quite interesting, especially when it comes to daily volume for the coin picking up at some point. Alrighty, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Thank you once again for watching and or listening. The market is still down, but that's just how crypto kind of is. Thank you once again, and I'll talk to you all soon. See you.